More WWE SummerSlam title match plans have been revealed. Plus, an AEW star has no timeline for return. And we have an update on potential NXT call-ups. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Good morning, Mother, namely Rhea Ripley, who enjoys what we do. I love one of my favourite things on our channel is you interviewing Rhea Ripley at Clash of the Castle.
When you gave me that list of questions, I just didn't look. And it was sort of like 1, 2, and then I get to the third one and I can see the fifth one and I was like, oh no.
Is that what you asked Rhea Ripley? Would she choke you?
Yes, I asked Rhea Ripley.
I remember writing that down, mate.
It's on the channel. Give it a look. It was also the hottest room on earth and I was in heavy flannel, so I'm a very sweaty boy.
That's our excuse,
yeah.
Amy, and we're sticking to it.
Tom made me do it and it was a hot room.
Don't remember writing. There's a million things that could spin off onto. So we've heard lots of title match plans for WrestleMania, and for example, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther
for WrestleMania. What are you on about, Tom? That's some ways off.
I'm ahead of the curve, mate. It's Cody Roman again.
Got a couple of little things in the way before we get there, mate.
Have we, Al? It's Cody Roman again, by the way. Roman's winning. No, for SummerSlam, Gunther versus Drew for the IC title. Yep. Nice. We're waiting for the full announcement of Jay versus Roman Reigns, which will be any moment now. That'll be nice. The Universal title.
Literally now. Right now.
It could be now.
It's probably like 6 a.m. and I'm like, right now.
Wake up and tell him. But Rhea Ripley is apparently, according to the Wrestling Observer, going to be defending her Women's World Heavyweight Championship against Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So Raquel currently one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, but Gonzalez and Ripley have their l'histoire from NXT.
Yeah, and I think they're very evenly matched as well, and I think that this is a feud you can return to quite nicely. Rhea has obviously, exploded in popularity since all of the Judgment Day stuff, and I think that this is a way you can really introduce Raquel a little bit more as a singles competitor at that level to the audience that maybe, again, haven't tuned into NXT, haven't been staying on top of all of that history that's there. So I think that this is a feud that we may potentially come back to from time to time, but I'm hoping that Rhea just drops over.
It's a feud that goes through the Gonzalez's and the Rodriguez's, but it's Raquel and Rhea, and I think they'll have just a heavyweight banger. Go King's Road on us at SummerSlam.
Man.
Just do it, you cowards.
Do it.
Speaking of women's championships, Asuka in action on SmackDown next week with hers.
Yeah, she's going to be defending the title against Bianca Belair. This comes after Bianca Belair attacked Asuka in a brawl, also featuring Charlotte Flair, Bayley, and Io Sky. Belair's also shown grievance over Charlotte Flair's return, as most people do when Charlotte Flair returns, and attacked both Flair and Asuka on SmackDown before Money in the Bank. So this has been kind of bubbling away slowly. I think it's, there's a lot of different avenues you can go down here as and when, the matches sort of fall. But, Belair, Asuka, we know how good that can be. It's going to be amazing.
I imagine Charlotte Flair will get amongst it because, again, to go back to SummerSlam, one of the title matches that
there's a belt on the line.
Yeah.
Charlotte's got to be in the match.
Charlotte needs to be there.
How many is it now? She beaten her dad?
80. I think beating her dad and won the belt 87 times.
Yeah, so it's like we just got to keep going,
Just keep on keeping on, you cowards. The talk is for SummerSlam, we'll have Asuka, Bianca, Charlotte.
Yeah.
In a triple threat.
Which should be a hell of a match, to be honest.
Yeah. So I don't expect this to end anywhere near clean as a whistle, because we'll be getting ready towards that.
Yeah.
Let's talk New Japan Women's Champion, Julia. She beat Willow Nightingale this week, and there is apparently a reason behind that result.
Yeah, so this one comes from the Wrestling Observer, but the reasoning is, they say the belief is that this will set up Julia versus Mercedes Monet whenever Monet can return from her leg injury. Now, Willow Nightingale's title win came as a result of Mercedes Monet's injury suffered in the finals of the tournament. Call was then made to change the finish of the match, sort of mid-match, and have Willow win the belt. Mercedes was aware she was about to miss a lot of time in ring, so it makes sense. It was a big kind of shocking moment. It was one that I think will kind of stand out, and we'll see on sizzle reels for quite a long time. But Julia is somebody who's going to be able to carry that title in many different ways. So I think that this is it's only a good thing, right?
I have a vibe that once Mercedes Monet is back at full speed and squares up to Julia, they could make a match for the ages.
Make it into a feud. It's going to just be gnarly.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gnarly.
Just give them like a best of 3 over a year.
Yeah.
And just let them make magic.
It's one thing New Japan can do is just really draw out a feud.
Yes.
But not to a point where it becomes insufferable, you know? They just get it sort of right. Big match feel.
Which is a nice bit of pacing to it, and that's how you do it. Another person who lost a bit of gold recently was Jade Cargill, no longer the TBS champion. We haven't seen her since. According to the Wrestling Observer, there is no timeline for an in-ring return for Jade Cargill.
Which sounds ominous. It sounds really ominous, doesn't it? Because it's just sort of like, that could be anything. There's no timeline. That could be really bad. It could be something that maybe they've not reported on. AEW don't like reporting on injuries or anything, but it's not that at all, is it?
Nope, she just likes having a bit of time off, it seems. She tweeted out earlier in this week, I think we picked up on this, and said, outside the wrestling bubble is nice, I might stay. She's got a lot of irons in the fire. Jade Cargill.
She's sort of, she's doing a lot of things at high level, not just wrestling. She's, she's somebody who must be incredibly busy all of the time, so it must be nice to be able to have that option to kind of step back as and when you need to focus on other things or take time for yourself, I think.
But having said that, like, obviously, and it's good that she does, I do hope that they do put in a timeline for Jade's return, because she was very much like when they did that Warner Brothers Discovery,
she was like a
reveal,
pillar of that.
Yeah, big style.
And she's somebody the crowd loves to get behind. People really, really like seeing her wrestle. She's somebody I think can carry a division, and it's sort of like, it'd be a shame for her not to be back, but I don't think we're going to see her not come back. I don't know what it is. I feel like she'll be back.
Yeah. I think TBS will want her back since they used her picture on the Warner Brothers Discovery.
There's got to be some future plans bubbling away now. But for now, just enjoy the time off.
Take a little bit of a break. That's what we did with the Classic Nitro review for a couple of weeks. We're back once again with the ill behavior. If you've got us on your podcatcher of choice, you get free Cultaholic podcasts every single day of the week. And you have a brand new episode of the Cultaholic Classic Nitro review. Sam Driver and myself are watching every single episode of Nitro from the beginning to its bitter end, or ours.
We've just got past Bash at the Beach 96.
Which was the anniversary of yesterday.
So by the time we get round to recording next, we might actually be in line week to week with Nitro, which would be quite cool.
That's quite an interesting way to do it. Yes, so we're watching every week. You can watch along with us on the podcast feed. Also, tomorrow on the podcast feed, a brand new episode of Jack's Matches of the Month.
Yes.
If you miss Jack talking waxing lyrical about some of his favourite matches every single week, you can do it on a monthly basis on the podcast feed. They're about an hour-long podcast, and it's Jack just chatting about his favourite matches. It's really good.
Like his analysis and everything. I miss that stuff, so it's really always nice to check it out.
On the channel right now, you can catch up with Ross and Fraser, who caught up with the likes of LA Knight, Santos Escobar, and Pretty Deadly, whilst in the O2, whilst in London for Money in the Bank at the O2.
So lucky.
Oh my gosh, the Kavorka off the screen when Ross stood next to LA Knight.
Yeah.
Right pair of shoes of champions.
You couldn't look at it. Like, if you were there in person, it's like looking at the sun.
I have to sort of squint when I watch it. It's a bit too much for me. But in a good way. It's on the YouTube
channel. You just feel the glory basking down on you.
Exactly. It's waiting for you now. Bask in the glory. Finally.
Beating down on you.
I think basking works.
No, because you bask in it. You don't bask out.
I could bask however I want to, young man. All right. I will bask whichever way I choose. As will the Creed brothers, who may or may not be coming up to the main roster as we thought.
Again, we touched on this earlier. There's been a lot of rumblings recently about potential NXT call-ups, people that the company are quite hot on, people the company are keeping an eye on. We're hearing rumors that people are backstage at certain shows. Was it Trick Williams was backstage at SmackDown? So there's a lot of kind of what ifs, a lot of possibilities. But as we know, being backstage somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you are getting called up. But I think that, Creed brothers, we've heard for quite a bit of time that the company's wanted them maybe, to be up on the main roster. It feels like now would be the right time, right?
Feels like now is the time, future WrestleMania main eventers. That's what they were called by people behind the scenes only a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
now might be the time.
They lost a loser leaves NXT match as well to the Dyad on Tuesday, which gave the impression that the call-up is coming. So, you got to hope so, but then at the same time, it could be folded back into we're going to come back anyway.
Yeah, they come back as the Breed brothers.
That's a whole different thing, Tom. That's probably a website. Do not Google that.
Don't Google that on an office computer. We will not be held responsible for what happens to
Tom will be held fully responsible, not Cultaholic. Tom Campbell.
I don't want to think about what... It's like that. It's at that time I tried to find an imitation version of Uber. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day. It sits in at cultaholic.com. Stay safe.
I've got Superman by Goldfinger just running through my head.